Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to do boiler maintenance on a Munchkin. Just don't see too many of these anymore. Not my most favorite brand to work on. So, got the power switch here. It looks like this does in-floor heat and hot water as well. So it has multiple zones. Of course, I'll be replacing the thermostat batteries on all those zones, but we'll start with the boiler. We'll start by taking off the spark igniter. And then we'll also be cleaning the heat exchanger. So I'll show you how to take that apart. Comes to these screws, never use an impact drill. Seen too many guys do that and completely strip out either the screw, but mostly the threads themselves get stripped out. Not too terrible. And we'll go ahead and clean that up. I just like to use a sand cloth, nothing too fancy. Some people use the dollar bill method, but sometimes there's just so much corrosion on these that it really does nothing to it. Sand cloth is pretty effective. And then you just want to be careful that you don't bend the rod at all, because this gap is important for creating that spark right in between here. Sometimes if the sight glass isn't too dirty, sometimes you can see the spark. Put that back in, make sure the gasket is all intact here. Doesn't look like it's chipping and it's in pretty good shape. Now, some people like to do this while the heat exchanger is out and all that. I just like to take the actual pieces out and clean them one by one, but you can do it in whichever order you want. Yeah, pretty typical, not too bad. Gasket looks good. I prefer these gaskets, they last a lot longer than those like fiberglass cloth linking ones. Those things that just get ripped apart. A lot of the HTP boilers use now, I think some of them did switch back to this style of gasket, which is nice, but some models out there use the cheap ones that don't last long at all. Now we'll move on to removing inducer motor assembly to access the heat exchanger. You have to unplug the gas valve, unplug the inducer. You don't really have to unplug the gas valve, but I do it just to make some more room. Here, and screw on the side here typically. Yep, and then we got undo all these nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts. Again, I always get them loose by hand. See, this screw is starting to get stripped out. Feel how my Phillips won't even reach in there. I need a actual Phillips screwdriver. And this one should fit perfectly. Let's go try it out. Take two. This does look slightly stripped, so we're gonna be careful with that. Hopefully we can get it out. Alright, it's moving. It's good news. This was actually loose. Interesting. I know it's kind of hard to see the screw back here, but it's just another Phillips. And just need a 10mm socket. What I like about this Klein screwdriver is that this can just pop in right here. And when you want to make sure that you pull straight towards you so that you don't crash in side to side on the heat exchanger. I'm just going to set that down, make sure everything is intact here. All looks good. And then this is why you need to get access inside the heat exchanger, because of all this corrosion here will plug up and that'll result in a no heat. Very bad for the heat exchanger too. So we're going to start off by vacuuming this out, and then going to flush hot water in here to make sure that the drain is properly draining. But then after that, then we'll take the drain trap out and flush it out. Always do this first, but just because some debris will eventually make it to the drain trap. When you're cleaning this out, this back piece right here is very fragile. You don't want to hit it. And now we're just gonna start putting water in here and take a soft brush and just brush all the debris off. Don't want to take a wire brush or anything like that to create pinhole leaks. I usually have a bigger brush. I think I left it at a different job, but this little guy will do. And I'm not brushing too hard, but just a light brush to kind of break up all the mineral buildup. And yep, you can see the water flowing. You can hear it going through the floor drain. Visually check it over one more time. I don't see any pinhole leaks. We'll just put it back together. Again, same thing going back in. You do not want it crashing side to side. Just line up your holes. And usually I just keep it here with one hand and just get the nuts started. Again, just want to be careful that you don't strip any of the screws. Go nice and slow. There we go. Now we can finish these nuts. There, all nice and tight. Plug these guys back in. And before we forget, plug in the gas valve and the inducer motor. Now let's get the drain trap out. Sometimes you can just blow through it. If you have a blower gun, you can shoot that through here. You can take a vacuum it out, whichever works best for you. Just let it drain in this tube a little bit so I don't spill everywhere. Luckily this style, it just twists right out. So no screws or anything. Look at all that. We're going to take that outside and flush it out. And in case if you guys didn't see my camera, this just unplugs nice and easy. So I'm going to take this outside, flush it out, and then make sure you do fill it back up with water. Look at that difference. Crystal clear now. And it just clicks right into place. Plug this guy in. Check the water pressure. So it's about 12 psi. It's good for the size of house. I do usually prefer putting an isolation valve at the end of the expansion tank so you can swap this out without draining any water. I do like to use my own pressure gauge to double check the pressure. Sometimes these gauges are not the most reliable. Yep, hit 12. My gasket isn't big enough, so it's gonna squirt out a little bit. So I had to be quick. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up and vacuum the boiler. while we are test running the system, we also need to do a combustion test. To do that, we need to, one, have a call for heat, and then once when that lights naturally, then we can put into test mode. To activate the test mode, simply press S2 and S3 together for 1 second, which is going to be these two. Again, when it's up and running, we can use the S1 and S2 keys to bring it to low fire and high fire. There it goes, you can kind of see the blue light. We got flame. Let that run naturally for about a minute. This is going to be our port. We got the back rack. It's going to be natural gas here, so we have it on natural gas. Yep. All the pumps are running. Put it into test mode. And we'll start with low fire. So here on the chart, it'll tell you where the natural gas for the carbon monoxide and the carbon dioxide needs to be for natural gas and propane. So on low fire, we do have 39 ppm and 8.5%, which is fine. Now let's see what it is on high fire. Just hold the plus button. As you can see, if you hold it long enough, it just kind of goes up on its own. You can hear the inducer motor ramping up. And the high fire is looking good. And if you guys do need to adjust the gas pressure on test mode, make sure you always adjust it on low fire. It's just easier that way, easier to start with that, and then double check your high fire again afterwards. But we're all done here. So we're gonna do S1 and S2 together for 1 second to get out of test mode. And that wraps up for the Munchkin boiler maintenance on this call. If you guys enjoyed the video or found anything helpful, drop a like and subscribe. If you guys have any other tips of doing anything easier, feel free to let me know in the comments. As always, see you guys on the next call.